Today we are going to learn the first Mishna and Gemara of Perek Hameiniach. The Mishna discusses two cases. The first case is if this is a street. There's a person named Reuven who decided to put his jug in the middle of the street. This is Reuven. Then there's a person named Shimon, and he was walking along the street and didn't notice that there was a jug, and walked and stepped and broke Reuven's jug. That's Shimon. So the question the Mishnah asks is Shimon required to pay? Does he need to pay Reuven for breaking his jug? So the Mishnah says no. Shimon is not responsible to pay Reuven for breaking his jug. That's the first case in the Mishnah. The second thing the Mishnah discusses, the second question, is what if in the same case Shimon actually hurt himself tripping over the jug? Shimon hurt himself. Let's say he's walking, he tripped, and he hurt himself. He's lying down on the floor now. So will Reuven be responsible to pay Shimon for his damages? That's Reuven. So will Reuven be responsible to pay? And the Mishnah says yes, he will be responsible. Now let's see that in the Mishnah. Hameiniach akad b'reshus harabim. If someone placed a jug in reshus harabim, akad is a jug. Let's write that on top here. It's going to be important later on. Uva achar v'niskal ba, and someone else came along and tripped over it. Vishavra, and he broke it. Pater. The person who broke the jug, which we called Shimon, is not responsible to pay for the broken jug. In the next case, V'im huzak ba, and if Shimon, the person who broke the jug, got hurt from tripping over the jug, Bal hachavis chayiv b'niskei, the owner of the barrel will be responsible to pay. That's right, barrel will be responsible to pay for the damages. Which these are the two cases we mentioned. First case is when Shimon broke it, will he be responsible? And the answer is no. And the second case is if Shimon fell and hurt himself, is Reuven going to be responsible? And we said yes. Now let's continue with the Gemara. The Gemara asks an obvious question. In our Mishnah, we started off calling what Reuven put on the floor a jug. And then we say it was a barrel. A barrel is a lot bigger and a lot larger than a jug. But why does the Mishnah switch the names of what he put down? Are they the same thing or not? So let's read that in Gemara. Pasach bekad b'sayim v'chavis. It starts off mentioning a kad, a jug, and it ends off with a chavis. Why is this? Let's put a question mark right here. And let's put a question mark on the side also so we can always tell where the question is. Now the answer is only going to be later on in the Gemara over here. A, we'll make an A for an answer. That's only going to be over here by Rav Papa. Now we're actually going to sidetrack and mention two other cases where we see other Mishnahs also switch from a jug to a barrel in the middle of the Mishnah. But don't get confused. The answer will only be later on over here. So this could actually be in parentheses really. So let's sort of put this in parentheses. It's just two more examples where we find that the Mishnah switches the names of jug and barrel. Let's see the two cases. Case number one. That's a one. V'tnan nami, it says also in the Mishnah, another a case. Zeba b'chavisai. This person was walking down the street with a barrel. V'zeba b'kairasai, and this person was walking with a beam. Nishbra kadei shel zeh b'kairasai shel zeh. If the first person's jug broke against the other person's beam, potter, the person who owns the beam will not be responsible. Let's see this case. Let's write down this case on our board. Let's scroll down a bit. So we have some empty space. Okay. Let's get back to yellow. So let's talk about a case where two people were walking down the streets. One person was carrying a heavy barrel. Let's make a barrel. And other person was walking down the street carrying a heavy pole. Let's make a big pole. This person was walking this way, and this person was walking this direction. And they collide and they crash in the middle. And what happens is the pole breaks the barrel. So the question is the owner of the pole owner, responsible to pay the owner of the barrel for breaking his barrel? So let's go back to the Gemara. Let's see that again. Ba bechavisai, zeba bechavisai. One person's walking with his barrel. V'zeba bekairasai, and the other person's walking with his pole. And nishbra kadei shel zeh bekairasai shel zeh, and this person's jug broke against this person's beam. The halacha is potter. The owner of the beam does not need to pay. So let's go back to our drawing board. And does need to pay. Let's switch to red. The answer is no. He's not responsible to pay. Says the Gemara. Let's continue. Pasach bechavis v'sayim bekad. We see. Let's make a period. We see another case where he started off speaking about a chavis, a barrel, and then switched mid-sentence to a kad, to a jug. So we see another Mishnah that the Tana does the similar thing. Case number 2, where we see the Mishnah, another Mishnah does it. V'tnan nami, it says another Mishnah, Zeba bechavisai shel yayin, v'zeba bekadi shel dvash. If two people were walking down the... let's continue with that. One person was walking with a barrel of wine, and the other person was walking with a barrel of honey. And what happened is that the owner of the barrel of wine, noticed that there was a crack in the bottom of the barrel of honey, and it was leaking, and honey was starting to drip out. So what he did was, he poured out all his wine on the floor, and instead he took his barrel and he started collecting, this is his barrel, he started collecting all the wine that was dripping out. So the question is, how much money does the owner of the honey barrel need to give the owner of the wine barrel? So let's write this down. How much money does he need to pay? So let's continue the Mishnah, the Gemara. Tnan nami, let's read that again. It says in another Mishnah, Zeba bechavisei shel yayin. One person's come with a barrel of wine. V'zeba bekadi shel dvash, and the other person was walking with a jug of honey. Nizdeka chavis shel dvash, the barrel of honey broke. V'shafach, so what happened? V'shafach ze yenoi. Let's make a period to divide it, to make a little division in the case. So v'shafach ze yenoi, the person who owns the wine poured out his wine. V'hitzas hazbash l'seichei, and he rescued the honey inside his barrel. So what's the halacha? So the Mishna, the Gemara tells us, ein loi el ascharoi. He only gets his reward like a regular worker. He doesn't need to pay. The owner of the honey does not need to pay him for the wine that he lost. He just needs to pay him for his work, for helping him. So to our question over here, how much does he need to pay? He pays like a worker. Like a worker. Meaning, this person, the person who owned the barrel of wine, loses money because he had wine. Wine is very valuable. And now he only gets paid like a simple worker. Let's go back to our Gemara. So what do we see from here? Where are we? Right here. What do we see from here? Pasach bekad v'sayim chavis. We see another case where he started off mentioning that the owner of wine, of honey, had a kad. Then it says his chavis broke. So what is it? Is it a kad or a chavis? Now we are going to answer the question of why our Mishnah starts off with a kad and ends off with a chavis. Amar Rav Papa says, Hainu kad, hainu chavis. Kad and chavis actually are the same thing. A person could call a barrel a chavis or a kad. They call a kad a chavis or a barrel. Let's get some more space. The word chavis means jug and barrel. And the word barrel, the word kad, also means jug and barrel. Therefore, we can use both. But the Gemara is going to ask, the Mishnah uses both probably because it wants to teach us something. What is it coming to teach us?